You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 13th, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to call to order the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission meeting for Monday, May 13th, 2024. Roll call, Mr. Gertner.
Here.
Mr. Hulse.
Here.
Tracy Tillman is absent this evening. Sherry Wilson. Here. And I'm Sheila Matias, and I am present. Next, we have minutes from our April 8th executive session, and we also have minutes to approve for our regular meeting on April 8th. I would entertain a motion for the minutes for the executive session.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the minutes as presented for the executive session.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the executive session of the Redevelopment Commission on April 8th. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion has carried. Next, we have the minutes of the regular Redevelopment Commission meeting for April 8th, 2024. I would entertain a motion. Don't be shy.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gertner.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for our regular meeting on April 8th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Next, Mr. York, could you go through the claims for today's meeting?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This is a claims docket for May 13th, 2024. In April 2024, we had payroll, CDBG, reimbursables, staff and commissioners. From the operating account, we have Great American Financial copier fees for 2024. Great American Financial copier fees for Great American Financial for copier fees for April of 2024. Great American Financial copier fees for May of 2024. Saranac Law Offices for legal retainer for April 2024. From the North TIF, we had August Mac for 2023 activities, 3/4/24 through 3/31/24. Barnes and Thornburg for legal fees for redevelopment and economic matters, ending in 3/31/24. Barnes and Thornburg for legal fees for Bloxham arbitration, ending in 3/31/24. Economic Development Corporation for 2024 biannual pay 1 quarter North TIF. Flock Safety for 2024, Flock Safety Falcon, $75,000. That was also included minus a credit of $26,897.26 for a total of $48,102.74. Haas and Associates for Michigan City On-Call Services for the NICD Double Track project for 129/24 through 2/25/24. Haas and Associates for Michigan City On-Call Services for the NICD Double Track for 2/26/24 through 3/24/24. HRP Construction for construction of the Trench Interceptor, pay number 2. Michigan City Area Schools for the 2020 through 2024 Technology Grant, final pay. This is the final half out of North TIF. Midwest Electric for street lighting locates for Sola site. Midwest Electric for 8th Street Interceptor trench traffic signal locates. Millennium for supplies for electric at Civic Plaza at 7th and Franklin Street. Millennium for supplies for electricity at Civic Plaza, 7th and Franklin site. And I'll explain those two in a little bit later, more in depth. NIPSCO for electric services for EV stations, 8th Washington Park lot as of 4/4/24. NIPSCO for electric service EV stations for 8th and Washington parking lots as of 5/3/24. Blue Chalet, Racher and Braun for legal services for Trail Creek properties, expenses and advances. Saranac Law Offices for legal services for the North TIF, April of 2024. From the South TIF, we had DLZ for South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project, pay app 25, 3/9/24 through 4/5/24. Economic Development Corporation 2024 biannual pay. This was pay one. It's a fourth out of the South TIF. Michigan City Area Schools for the 2020 through 2024 technology grant. This is the final pay. This was a half out of the South TIF. Saranac Law Offices for legal services from the South TIF of April 2024. Woodruff and Sons for Bay Logistics site and ditch clearing. East TIF, we had Economic Development Corp. 2024 biannual pay. One, this was a fourth out of the East TIF. And from the Northeast TIF, we had Economic Development Corp. 2024 biannual pay. One, this was a quarter out of the Northeast TIF. And we also had 2018 Ohio Street bonds, U.S. Bank requisition 44 for administrative fees, 3/1/2024 through 2/28/2025.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Do we need to take a motion to approve the financial report?
Yes.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
I'd like to motion to accept the claims as presented.
Madam Chair, I did declare a conflict. There's a claim on the docket for me, so I need to not vote on the next one.
Okay. Do we have enough to manage? So we have a conflict with Mr. Hulse. So we have a motion to accept the claims as presented, May 13th, 2024.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we have one abstention. All right, next, our financial report, May 31st, 2024.
Yes. This is our in our cash operating account. We have Southside TIF in our. I'm sorry. Start over. Cash operating account. We have $150,726.68. In our Southside TIF account, we have $8,026,903.69. In our Southside TIF debt reserve account, we have $336,308.50. In our Southside TIF capital account, we have $16,199.79. In our North End TIF account, we have $4,571,534.54. In our East Side TIF account, we have $484,276.46. In our Northeast TIF account, we have $903,796.27. Loans receivable, we have a county business loan fund for $133,333.0 for a total assets of $14,623,078.93.
Great, thank you. I would entertain a motion to accept the financial report dated March 31st, 2024.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept the financial report of March 31st, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation for the Michigan City Area Schools Technology Grant. Update and presentation, please.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good
Always
evening.
a pleasure to see you. I was just talking with the mayor and Mr. White that it just seems like yesterday since I was up here, and it was January. So today's presentation, you're all welcome. We'll keep it very short. There's not a whole lot of new stuff that has happened over the last few months, but just to reiterate and certainly appreciate the approval of the new funds. This is the last year of the grant, and it's here in January. As I didn't update that slide, but we can go straight to the budget. The budget as approved, just to kind of reiterate with everybody and update you. This is the budget as presented, but I'm sorry. Oh, well, yeah, my apologies. Kevin McGuire with Michigan City Area Schools. The budget as we laid out originally 5 years ago was for innovation centers at all of our school buildings. So essentially we're transitioning all our libraries, our media centers into locations of, instead of sit, get, and read, more of create, build, play, design, more action verbs in the libraries. Essentially adding a maker space in each one of the locations that we're deeming as innovation centers. Just to point out from the budget perspective, so everybody's where a large portion of the dollars that we spend every year goes towards staff development. and preparing our teachers for using the new equipment and the technologies within. A very small portion, or I wouldn't say very small, a much smaller portion goes to actual equipment within the classrooms. We then use other dollars and grant funds to help add some of those components, as well. As you're well aware, as I've shared with you over the years, some other dollars that we brought in from other grant sides of the table. So if you would, Drew. No different this year. We have used other title dollars, ESSER dollars, other grant dollars, PLTW Project Lead the Way dollars, other STEM activity dollars that have helped with increasing what we can do in those classrooms and in those lab space. So we're seeing close to another $500,000 on top of what the city has granted us going into these spaces as well. And this goes towards some Chromebooks, towards 3D printers, towards other pieces of equipment that the students use, as well as, and again, just to reiterate, what we've done in these spaces are to give access to the students the tools that they would have in their classrooms, but they don't only have access to those tools during the school day or their class time. They now have access to those tools at any portion during the school day. And other teachers, not just their computer science teachers, other teachers know how to use the equipment as well. So they, again, just have more access to the tools at hand. Some pictures that I've shared previously. This is the high school makerspace. Very pleased. All of the staff members at the high school, the technology trainers at the high school have all been trained. So a large contingency in May got training that will now move forward to have access to. The students have yet to really get into the classrooms. We want to make sure, or the class itself wanted to make sure that the teachers had training. So that has happened. So now we will be working this summer for more teacher training, as well as then to open it up for student access before and after school, as well as during the school day to any of the tools. And just to kind of identify some of the spaces that you see there, on the bottom right is a 3D printer that students will have access to. These are identical to 3D printers that they currently have access in the CIM labs and capabilities. They're 3D printers that they'll see in the workforce as well. We try to identify different tools that will be used in manufacturing or in other areas that they may see to make sure that we're keeping in line with what they will see in the workforce. On the right side, they have access to some computer-aided design machinery, CAD drawings. They currently have access to that in their labs. Now they'll have it in the makerspace areas. And then each of the cabinets have other things that they can practice with. I mentioned in the document, there's some soldering kits, there's some origami kits, some crafty things. It's not just all about technology, some Lego robotics, other pieces of equipment that we're certainly used to seeing in these type of environments. If anybody has seen the LaPorte Exchange, that's been one of our kind of models of what LaPorte has done over the exchange, their exchange room, kind of making that piece of part of our high school as well as middle schools on down. And then the Glow Forge is, we're very excited about that. That's a very expensive piece of machinery, which is again why we need to make sure staff's trained and students know how to use this. They do have access to this in the CIM, but again, they'll have access for all of their projects throughout the school day. They'll have access to the CIM, the Glow Forge, which is a plastics, wood engraving type solution where they can engrave directly onto the substrate. Rendering of the middle schools. So this is Barker and Krieger will look very similar to this. So all the tools that we saw pictured at the high school, we have available at the middle schools, but we don't have the furniture yet. So furniture will be landing this summer to get everything set up. So this is the rendering of the media center. On the black side that you can't see are all the books. So it's not that we're trying to move books out or we're doing other things in the media center. Books are still going to be a focal point of the media center. It's just we're just trying to utilize the space a little bit more efficiently. And then NAP, same thing. And NAP, the interesting thing with NAP is, and NAP, a couple of the elementary schools, they will be sliding over. The principals now seeing what they're getting and how it's going to be used. They're already designating other spaces for the makerspace. So we're already seeing an added space at NAP for this, and kind of we'll see this kind of evolve into more of an art space, if you will, for the elementary students, where they're probably going to be more crafty things to do for them that are going to be a little bit more messy, not quite as technical. So we'll see some of these spaces evolve as we work through them over the next couple of years. So next year, what we plan and how we move forward is obviously continuing what we have. We will complete all 11 spaces in by the end of this school year. All the equipment is either received or is on order, and all the furniture is either received or on order. So we'll be finishing up, as we stated 5 years ago, which use of the spaces. We'll be doing more staff development this summer for all of the staff, as well as there'll be staff development throughout the course of the year for the staff to learn how to use the tools, and then obviously get more hands-on the students have access to the equipment. The other thing that I'm working with Mary Angie and city partners is the development of a community makerspace. So we don't just want this to be available during the school hours. We certainly would like this to be available to our students and community members outside of the school day. So we're looking for a location, have preliminary conversations with YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club to try to figure out how we manage that, how you maintain it, how you supervise it, so on and so forth. So we're very excited. I'm eager to kind of push this forward and launch this. We've even had conversations with Barker Mansion and potentially doing a small makerspace there. We'll get the community library. They already have a makerspace, so certainly will be involved. But certainly, I would like to identify a space and have the same tools in that space that we currently have available at the high school and on down. We'll continue to push our expansion projects with the wireless that I kind of discussed last meeting. Did not mention out loud, is mentioned in the report. We will be piloting for the first time at Marsh Elementary School a device that has an LTE capable SIM card in it. So the students in 3rd grade through 6th grade at Marsh Elementary School will be able to walk anywhere in the community and have access to, not anywhere in the community, as long as they're within the downtown area, the coverage area, they will have direct access from their Chromebook. So they don't have to be linked up to a Wi-Fi box in their household or a system. It essentially works just like your cell phone, except that what's being provided is a private LTE from the school system. So all of those devices, for about 170 of them at the Marsh School District, will have access to pilot that. And the expectation there is that we'll continue to expand that. We're currently looking for grant dollars, working with state, local, regional ways to kind of bring in some more dollars to expand that network and make that available for all of our students district-wide over the next couple of years. We've had some great conversations with Mr. Andy Mechanic at the city level. Would certainly like to continue this conversation. I hope and expect that this may be another ask of the Redevelopment Commission as we move forward to kind of expand both the networks of the Michigan City area schools and of Michigan City itself, and how we can build off of each other. And whether it's redundancies, whether it's fiber runs for each, whether it's access to the wireless capabilities for the police department, the constituents, whatever that may be, whether it's makerspace available, community makerspace. We're starting to have those conversations on a regular basis now. Would like to put in place an MOU in this next year of what that looks like. Mr. Mechanic and I have been we've had a great relationship for years, but now we'd like to make that more formal. We certainly are seeing some ways that we can certainly benefit from each other and the knowledge that we each have on how we can better benefit both the schools and the city as a whole. So we'll continue to have that conversation, and certainly look forward to update you on how that moves forward as well. And then, of course, this next year, we'd certainly like to open up the discussion and have that conversation on what the next 5 years looks like, what the opportunities are there for both the city and for the schools, and how we can continue to partner together to push this technology venture forward. So with that, any questions?
Thank you, Kevin. Anyone have any questions for Kevin? It's always good to see you.
You as well.
Thank you for the update.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Pretty fascinating stuff. We're on the cutting edge. Thanks, Kevin. Next, we have Riverboat liquor license request. I'll pass that to you.
Tonight we have 2 riverfront liquor license requests. As you are aware, the Redevelopment Commission does have a municipal riverfront liquor license area that we can grant 3-way liquor licenses in. And tonight before us we have 2 requests. The first one is Rocco's Tavern. They will be located at 827 Franklin. And I think that's what we'll hear first. And then the second one is the Heron, and they will be located at 522 Franklin. We have met with them, our committee. Our committee consists of Ms. Cherie Wilson and Tracy Tillman. Ms. Tillman's not able to be here tonight. It also consists of me and Alan Saranac. We mainly kind of lead the discussion, I didn't lead the discussion. Cherie had some really great discussions. We typically just make sure we are meeting the requirements from a legal standpoint, not checking the boxes, but basically making sure that we're holding to our requirements with respect to the state law. With that, do you want me to bring them up? No. So first up, we're going to have the Rocco's Tavern come up. There will be, I think Mr. Anthony Novak will be presenting for them tonight. And I'll hand the floor off to you. Please introduce yourselves and just tell us a little bit about the project and things of that nature, and and then we'll ask some questions.
Great.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Anthony Novak. I'm an attorney with Newby, Lewis, Kaminsky, and Jones in LaPorte. Here with me tonight is the owners of this venture, Chef Joe Farina, and then his wife,
Hi there.
Yvonne. Passing out some packets here.
Hi, Yvonne. Nice to see you.
So as Skylar introduced tonight, with this venture, Rocco's Tavern LLC, we are seeking approval, or your blessing to get a three-way riverfront permit. This would be for their location at 827 Franklin Street. So Joe and Yvonne with me tonight, while originally from Chicago, moved to LaPorte County around 2018 and has since made LaPorte County their home. You might be familiar with their names. They operate 3 establishments in the county. Farina's Supper Club at 3311 Potawatomi Trail, which is the old Duneland Beach Inn. Cafe Farina's at 825 Franklin Street, right next door to this place, which has been open for 2 years and which has a riverfront permit issued in July of 2022. And then finally, Farina's Belly Flop, which is at 2411 St. Louis in Long Beach. That operates under a 2-way beer and wine permit that they've opened seasonally. So this location at 827 Franklin Street was most recently the home of Royale with Cheese, which I understand has moved locations. Rocco's Tavern will lease this space from landlord Lakeside Cottages LLC for a period of 5 years with 2 5-year options to renew, so currently a 15-year lease. So as Skylar indicated, we're asking for a riverfront permit, and maybe for the benefit of the public who may not know these permits or unfamiliar with these permits, they're specifically authorized by state statute. The idea is that a local municipality can use them as economic development to bring more business to a specific area. Our area is the Riverfront District, which is generally within a distance of Trail Creek, primarily downtown Michigan City. This program was adopted in 2008, was expanded in 2017, and while certainly they have a personal interest in thinking it's going to improve their business, the idea is that in turn it will improve other businesses in the downtown area. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Chef Joe, who can talk a little bit more about the restaurant itself.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So this place is a little different than our other 2. We're going to mainly do like American food here. It's, steaks, burgers, chops, meatloaf, all like home style cooking, all made fresh to order, the way we do at all of our restaurants. We're asking for the liquor license. We're going to do a little cocktail program, a great wine list here, which Yvonne takes care of all that, and we're thinking about doing some all local beers by the can and the bottle. So we're not doing any taps. We're just going to try just can and bottle, see how that goes for a while. And then we're doing homemade pies. Apple pie, cherry pie. Skylar likes chocolate pie.
We're all hungry. You're speaking our language.
Yeah. So that's basically what I'm doing here. Keep it in line with what I do at my other restaurants. I'm probably going to hire between 30 and 40 people. Yeah, around there. We're going to have an outdoor patio. We seat about 65, and then we're going to do about 15 at the bar. And plus the outside, maybe another 20. So that's it. If you have any questions.
Any questions, anyone?
Your alfresco space is going to be on the front, like cafe?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Sheree, did you want to highlight anything from the committee meeting? Is there anything that stuck out? You asked a lot of good questions, and I know you took some notes. Just Chef Farina, if
Yeah.
I may ask a question while Sheree's doing that,
Sure.
can you talk about your investment in this property? You don't have to go into great detail, but just in a roundabout way, how much are you putting into this property with respect to renovations, interior, exterior, things of that nature? Can you speak just a little bit about that?
Sure. As you know, in Cafe Farina, we put in about 450,000. And in this one, it's gonna be close to the same. Between 4 and 450.
Thank you.
Yeah, based on some of our questions that we had asked before, some of the things that came up was, like percentage of sales. So this is very crucial because it, based on 40% of your sales would be probably through this liquor license.
Correct.
And so it's a key point to your success to get
Sure,
this. Yeah.
sure.
And then, Yvonne was great to tell us about some of you guys' things that you guys do community-wide,
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
your involvement, so that was really nice to hear that. Even though
Thanks.
that's not contingent of you getting this, it's just nice to see that you guys are involved in our.
Yeah, a lot.
And, so yeah, and we see a projected volume of 1.5 to 2 million, which that's a good investment for downtown. And thanks for clarifying on your lease, the commitment of up to 15 years to our city. That
Yes.
that's definitely very decent. And then, and the fact that you guys are looking at, your hours of operation, you know, treating it as a year round, where unfortunately some of our, businesses in town are very seasonal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're year round with this one. The only one we can't be year round is with is everybody knows the belly flop. I mean, that's between the beach and whoever's not, familiar with it, between the beach and the country club and.
And it always has been like that. So
Yeah.
I know it'd be almost impossible to stay open during the winter there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
understand, because you're not even on a beaten path there. So,
No,
yeah. And so yeah, that was some of the things that we had asked. And also she had talked to us about your guys' sourcing local goods too,
yeah,
such as Hebron Farms. Am I saying it right?
Hebron, yep.
Hebron, yep. And things like that. So yeah, so definitely they really
A little bit of east side meats, we got them going.
perfect.
Yeah,
Couple local farms.
Mhm.
that's great. Any other comments or questions?
When you
Thank you,
guys,
Sherry.
it's about, the restaurant being available.
I'm doing demo right now
Okay.
and just waiting for my liquor license. So that's, we really don't open before we get our liquor license. It's not worth it for us. Like you said, it's a lot of our revenue there is 40% and just wouldn't be worth it for us. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Novak, anything else you wanted to offer?
No, just maybe for the benefit of those who haven't been here with other permits. So, and to your question, Clarence, so assuming we would be approved tonight, we would ultimately get a letter from the mayor in support, and that only starts the second process, which is applying downstate. So if we apply downstate, that is roughly to a 90 to 120 day process. So, fingers crossed, it would be at the earliest, August, September, which, as soon as we can.
Labor Day would be great.
We'll shoot for Labor Day. It's good to hear that you're committed to 12 months a year, because I think that's going to change the flavor for our community overall in the entertainment district.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion.
I would like to make the motion that we grant them permission to move forward with their liquor license.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the Riverfront liquor license request for Rocco's Tavern, 827 Franklin Street in Michigan City. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any nays? I'm happy to say you're on your way.
Thank you, Chef Farina.
Thank you, Farina family, for your investment. We really appreciate that as a city.
Right.
Another great place to eat and have a few adult cocktails. All right, next we have the Riverboat liquor license request for the Heron, 522 Franklin Street.
I believe Miss Heather Nath is here, and I haven't met her chefs yet, but I know that we requested that they come tonight, just in case there was questions from the commission. I might add that the goal when the riverfront liquor license was put in place, the goal was so that Michigan City could have the most diverse restaurant scene in Northwest Indiana. That was the goal. Yeah, and yep. So, so I think that we're doing a really good job in our downtown. So with that, Heather, Miss Nath, or Dr. Nath.
Thank you, Heather. Heather's fine. Thank you for letting me appear here today.
If you could just introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Heather Nath. I have been a real estate investor and running an Airbnb and investing in buildings in Michigan City since 2016. Having done a lot of work myself initially on the properties, and now it's gotten a little bit bigger. So I own the building at 518 2022, commonly known as the Eagle Building sometimes, on Franklin, where Fluid Coffee is. So when the engineering firm moved out at pandemic time, Fluid was just opening up, and there was this empty space there. So the idea to make that a useful, productive space that would bring something to Michigan City was very important to me, because if I rented it to an office person or whatever, that doesn't bring anything of great value to the city. So it's important for me to sort of build more pieces of the puzzle. Just like when I started with an Airbnb, there weren't very many Airbnbs in 2018 here. So there was a lack of sort of that middle housing where it wasn't the blue chip and it wasn't a little motel. So I made my Victorian house a lovely Airbnb. So I looked at this sort of the same way. How would I like to eat better or go out better? And how would I like to bring more people to Michigan City? Because it's been a pretty amazing transformation since I first discovered it in 2016. So I've always enjoyed French food. And at first, perhaps I was maybe a little hesitant to say full-on French because I wasn't sure how people would react. But it's something that we really can't get within about a 30-mile radius of Michigan City. It's totally different than the other restaurants here. I don't want to take business from them. I want to add business to the downtown area. And I think we're building a lovely little restaurant. I have 2 chefs that have stuck with me in this year-long process. So they've been terrific. We're all building the menu, building the concept, and I really look forward to the Heron opening.
Any questions or comments? Cherie, since you
I'm sorry, Sheree, to put it all back on you.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear, the committee met, I'm sure Tracy would offer up some things, but unfortunately, yeah,
So unfortunately, I left that notebook on my desk, but I'll try to go by memory. One of the things that really impressed me about Heather's presentation was her commitment to her employees. And she has really done a fantastic job of putting her plan together. And the benefits that she's offering her employees goes beyond, above and beyond what's required by our state. So that was something I really enjoyed about that. She had really methodically thought out her plan, in the sense of, what niche was not being met in our area. And I really appreciated that. And then just her commitment that she herself has worked on her own renovations, breaking her own nails. Yeah. So, but that was one of the things I really appreciated, because she really cares about her employees. And I don't want to go into the details of what contract she has with her employees, but it was an impressive package.
Absolutely. That you can't do it without the people are the most important thing. You have nothing. I learned that in my medical practice. My nurse has been with me 22 years. The other people have been there 10 years plus. Just, it's important to create a nice, stable environment where people are happy, they want to come to work, and everybody makes a wonderful product that way, whatever your product is. This time it's the Heron.
she
Any chance the chefs could tell us a little
I'm-
about your offerings? We are hungry. You do know that, right? It's dinner time.
Hi, my name is Ryan Kellogg. I'm born and raised here in Michigan City. I went to Louisville, Kentucky to Sullivan University where I graduated with my associates. I met Heather through some friends at Brewster's a while back. We started talking about a restaurant and what concepts. And I've actually spent a lot of time moving away from Michigan City because I love to cook. It's my passion. It's what I've always wanted to do. And there's nothing here for me. So we want to bring that with the French cuisine. It's something that's not here. We've actually talked about other concepts in the future, but we're excited to do all kinds of things. French ossobuco, snails, different types of bone marrow dishes, lots of fresh fish. My buddy here, best friends since college, has done a lot of farm to table stuff, and we like to use as many local farms as possible. And that's, yeah.
Thank you. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, good.
Hello, I'm Daniel Ortiz. I'll try to keep this brief as much as Ryan said. I'm a farm-to-table chef based out of Louisville, Kentucky for the past decade, specializing in, again, fine dining and new American wave. So that allowed me to kind of dip my toes in multiple cuisines, more so specializing in the techniques that were brought upon the French cuisine. Pretty much everything from a lot of the cuisines that we do across the board do hyper fixate on French cuisine, more so techniques and how the sauces and everything are presented. I've been doing that for years and years, including the farm to table aspect. When I was presented with this opportunity to bring it up to here, I wasn't shied away from it all. I know it's kind of going to be a challenging for it all, but I'm very excited to be able to put my intuition and my experience to this town, and very, very excited to see how everybody will react and kind of be have that cuisine brought to the light of day for this town, because it is very, very exciting and new, especially for this area. So I will be very excited for that to come.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from anyone?
Heather, can you talk a little bit about tell us about your investment in the building and like what you've been doing, and I would say let's be specific with this. You've invested a lot in our downtown. I really appreciate that. Can you talk just a little bit about this restaurant in general? Give us a kind of a ballpark estimate of build out. And
Right now, it was a gut build up because it was a drop ceiling office building. It took a month just to get the carpet off the floor that was glued down for I don't know how many decades. So it's a labor of love and a labor of the checkbook as well. So I'm at about $500,000 right now. So I don't know where it'll kind of wind up, but I'm ready for it.
so it's a significant amount.
Myself.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that this adds to this building is that it adds an active space rather than a passive space.
Absolutely.
And it's a really great asset for our downtown, whereas office space is great, but when no one's in the office space, now we're going to see people in there and activity and things happening. That's really important for a downtown.
I think that makes the whole downtown better, just bringing more life.
Right. Thank you.
Just to establish how there was a record, your plan, as you presented, was to be open all year round.
All year, yeah.
Seasonal.
As a local person, having just moved into 514 East 8th this weekend, myself. So I love going out in the winter. I think I shared with you before, like one of my favorite things was February, whatever, at the Goblin and Grocer in Beverly Shores, and it was -4 degrees, and the place was packed. It was about 8 o'clock at night, and I told Don, like the owner, I said, "Give me a chair." So I took a picture, and I said, "For everybody that thinks that this is still a seasonal region, you are completely mistaken."
Yes. Yeah, it is so true. A lot of local people, we don't rely on only tourism.
Right.
And if you could also emphasize, as we discussed, the family aspect of it as opposed to just a.
Absolutely. So we're committed to being a family-friendly restaurant, and with the recent changes in the Indiana law as to barriers, et cetera, for that makes this concept even better.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for bringing those up. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I also want to chip in and thank Heather for some of her other endeavors here in our city. She's also been one of the, you're the largest investor, right, in the movie, the Bulls, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, she's
That's,
bringing more than just us a restaurant. She's
That-
really helping put some investment on all levels into our city.
The whole goal of the Bulls movie, which is why we didn't start filming right after the SAG strike, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, all that got resolved. Everybody said, oh, well, you're ready to go. No, because it was supposed to be shot in the fall, which is a beautiful time in Michigan City, but we waited till the spring so they could have beach shots and they could make sure the city looked great and that the flowers, the trees were in bloom, etc. So that was held up by, 4, 5, 6 months just to make Michigan City look good.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Riverboat liquor license request for the Heron at 522 Franklin Street in Michigan City, Indiana.
Move to accept.
I moved to second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Riverboat liquor license request for the Heron. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Or we.
We.
Thank you.
Oui, monsieur. Madame. Thank you. We're very excited to hear about your project.
Thank you. Welcome home.
Yep, welcome home is right. All right, thank you so much. Next on the agenda, the approval of funding for supplies for electric service install at 7th and Franklin.
Yes, and you might recall that I mentioned this on our claims docket. I had to order a couple of extra things because we have a larger chase. It was actually the piece that pulls it underground. These were ordered by, I had Andy Mechanic do this. I know we approved a contingency for the actual construction, but I don't know that this was covered under that extra construction contingency. This is more or less prep and supply to get us so we can actually do this. And I might add in that because the reason why we haven't done it yet is we had an untonable gas line there that they could not find. They just recently found it. So we will probably be starting, Andy's telling me maybe this week, we will be seeing them do the borings.
Thanks.
And get the electrification, but that's one of the delay. So I apologize for that, but we couldn't find the gas line. So we finally found it. Those fees were covered in the Millennium line item here, and there were supplies for the electricity at Civic Plaza, and there was another Millennium line. Those were for $770.50 and $2,305.00 for a grand total of $3,075.55.
Okay, great. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the funding for supplies for electric service install at 7th and Franklin.
Move to accept.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Sherry?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the funding for supplies for electric service install at 7th and Franklin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Next, 8th Street sidewalk repair.
So this project is coming to us through the city engineer's office, but it's also a project that I think we should consider. There's a major investment going in the old school, St. Anthony's School. St. Anthony's School is being bought by North Shore. North Shore is making a significant investment in our downtown at this location. It will be transformed into a brand new health clinic. So it'll be the only health clinic on the north end at this point in time because all of them have moved down south. HealthLink has built a new building south of the tracks. So it's a very important thing for us to have a clinic on the north end, especially as we transition into more people living in our downtown and hopefully working in our downtown. I think that what North Shore is doing there, they're also going to be adjusting their parking lot. I think we'll see a lot more people walking around this area. They're going to have, when it's full, I think about 100 employees there.
Wow.
This piece of sidewalk has been in disrepair for a while. I'm going to have Tim just get up and give a synopsis of the issue with the sidewalk, and we'll go from there.
Tim Warner, city engineer. This was brought to my attention probably about a month and a half ago that there was some damaged sidewalk there on 8th Street. I contacted Sean Smith, the street department superintendent, and say, hey, Sean, I hear there's a couple of squares of sidewalk can you guys take a look? Do you have any concrete finishers? He said, yeah, we can take a look at it. So I said, well, let me meet you out there. We looked. This is on the south side of 8th Street, just to the east of Franklin Street. When the Franklin Street sidewalk was improved, it came around the corner about 20 feet or so, and then you just have the old sidewalk. Well, we looked at it, and there's several really disjointed squares there, but as you look all the way east towards Pine, there's all of the sidewalk is kind of disjointed. You have 1/2 inch or more of breaks all over. There were parking meters that were cut off behind the curb. All the bases of those concrete meters stick up. There's tripping hazards all over. So it kept expanding and expanding. And what we needed to do to find a place to stop, as you get to the old alley, there's concrete driveway that's overlaid with asphalt that's all crumbling and falling apart. You go east of that, you get to the driveway that the current school, St. Paul's, was using. There's a settlement there where water is setting all the time, all the way to the building on Pine Street. So it's probably 11, 12 feet wide of sidewalk. Once we take out the posts for the old parking meters and fix all the tripping hazards and bring the sidewalk up to grade to the back of curb, we're talking, I don't remember, $36,000. So that's what we're looking for, to be able to replace all of this bad sidewalk from the east side of the parking area at the corner of the building, which are Pine, all the way back to Franklin Street, to make this a safe sidewalk.
It just didn't make sense to replace 2 squares, because we get out there and Tim and I are both like, those are probably the best part of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, where do we stop?
where do we stop?
Yeah.
And there's a logical stop with respect to the the entrance that's being used. And then that entrance will stay and it will be incorporated into the new parking lot design. And they're going to lay out a new parking lot in there that makes a little bit more sense. And they're going to put a new entrance on Pine Street. So it's going to change up this parking lot. This just makes sense, in my opinion. It is a pretty dangerous situation down there. So
Yeah. I would recommend approval of this amount so we can get the sidewalk fixed. We currently have the 2024 sidewalk improvement. That contractor has indicated that he's willing to do the work at his price. That was pretty good price for this contract too.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Alan, is there anything that we need to make findings for?
Don't go away, Tim. Don't go away. And really, it's
I'm sorry, Alan, I didn't hear you.
it's just really for you and Skylar. And again, I apologize for the stupid questions, but just so we can set a record here, how does this have to do with how is this not just a normal city repair, and why are we doing this? Why is the Redevelopment Commission being asked to do this? And I think, just to even give you more of a hint, is because Skylar kind of touched on that as to the urgency and the need and the overall future development as it relates to this clinic.
Yeah, at this point, we've had a couple of change orders on the original sidewalk contract, which takes us almost to 10%. This would put us over that 10% number if we did it as part of the city's contract.
I would also add that this is being asked of the Redevelopment Commission because it is in our TIF district in the North End, and it is associated with a major investment in our downtown.
And that major investment being
North Shore Clinic, and they will also bring in about 100 employees.
100 employees who will bring in other people who want to come downtown to use the services.
That's
That's 100 more people that could trip on a bad sidewalk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not to speak up, but especially when you're talking about
Yeah.
healthcare, you're talking about people whose mobility is compromised.
Correct, and we had talked.
And
about that.
we do not want to have anyone who already has that have to take and navigate
Totally.
uneven surfaces.
That was my kind of thing. I'm like, people are going to be walking or wheelchair or mobily impaired. This isn't good.
Yeah, that was the first discussion Skylar and I had. This has got to be taken.
So this is at the old St. Anthony's School, is where
St.
this
Paul's.
St. Paul. I'm sorry, St. Paul's School.
When you said St. Anthony's, I got
No.
confused. I was like, I don't
it's
think
not
this
the-
is
This is
St.
the old.
Anthony's. I
I'm so sorry. This is the old St. Paul's School, and it is being transitioned. Has been sold, and will be transitioning into North Shore Clinic. And you will be seeing that happen very soon. Yeah.
and having North Shore Clinic is important to the overall continuing development of the
Absolutely.
downtown area.
Absolutely.
Brings more people downtown. They're high paid jobs, and we're opening a new restaurant. We're going to keep the restaurants open.
Yes.
This is really good news.
And we need a clinic on the north end.
And the city employees are really looking forward to this facility as well.
Yeah. That's great news.
You might see the, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
You might see the change order in here. I did include it. It is for, what are we looking at? Right around $36,136.53. I might ask that the commission give a little bit of leniency in there just in case. Some type of contingency, because I don't want to have to come back if we could stay in that. So I'm thinking, could we set a not to exceed amount of 40? Would that be?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think 40,000 is a reasonable, not to exceed figure. I would entertain a motion, to approve, 8th Street sidewalk repairs in a not to exceed, amount of 40,000.
I'd like to make the motion to do it, especially in the side of public safety.
Absolutely.
I'll second.
Good. We have a motion and a second, to approve the 8th Street sidewalk repair in a not to exceed figure of, $40,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
a really exciting development for our downtown, by the way.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. 11th Street Station Garage and Residential Tower updates and approvals.
We don't have any approvals tonight. I will tell you that there's a lot of concrete being poured right now. You may see the forms coming out of the ground. We also have precast beams sitting on site at the hospital lot. It's really coming together. I think they're going to start setting beams. I think all the beams should be here by the end of the month is what I'm being told. So very soon you will see beams start going up on the property. You'll also see an 80-foot crane go in soon. That will be a tower crane, and a crawler crane. So you'll see 2 cranes go up in the near future on this site. You will see a tower crane go up. They're going to be building a massive foundation for it, and then the tower crane will sit in the middle of the residential tower, and will basically lift all the 12, basically put the supplies on the floors up to 12 floors.
The first of many cranes in the downtown.
First time a tower crane we've had in our downtown. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's all new to us too.
So for all the naysayers out there, this is really happening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're gonna see an 80-foot tower crane very soon. Is there anything else business we need to take care of tonight? I don't think so. I just want to give you guys an update, and then we have been keeping everybody up to date at the Board of Works. We do have Mr. David Albers, who's the GC on site. He comes to all of our Board of Works meetings and keeps everybody in check with the transportation and what's happening with the street closures and things of that nature. And he works very closely with the police department as well. So we make sure that everybody gets notified on Wabash, and we start hauling those beams up Wabash and 10th Street. So just a little information.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Any questions? All right, let's move on to the interceptor trench updates and approvals.
Alan, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah, not a whole lot to report, other than the fact that it is being installed. They run into occasional problems, but they're overcoming those, and the trench interceptor is being installed, and I don't know where they are with that. Joe and I missed each other today, but in terms of, I think last time I talked to Joe, we're still on target for hopefully that project being completed later this month or early next month.
Great. Thank you. If there are no questions, I'll move on. The South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project, any updates or approvals?
Just some updates. We have met preliminarily with some of the property owners for the extension of Town Center Drive to Walmart Drive. And I believe we have a path forward with one of the owners. We're still working on another owner and contacting them. So we're just working through that. One of the questions that we're looking at right now and that I will be bringing to the Redevelopment Commission is should we go ahead and make some improvements to the right-of-way of Town Center Drive? I do believe it's in our control, almost in our control now, all of it. We still have one. Yeah, we're still working through that. But once we get total control over it, making some improvements to the right-of-way, which would consist of continuing our sidewalk onto Town Center Drive and making sure that we're connecting to the funnel that I call it at Larkspur, and just making those connections along Town Center Drive so that you get to Larkspur, you get to Town Center Drive, there's really nowhere to go. So making that connection, and then also looking at our bus shelters. You might recall that we did carve out space there for some bus stops and bus shelters. and start getting our buses along there right now. There are some bus stops along Town Center Drive. So that's something we should talk about in the near future and seeing if it's kind of a phase one, if you will. Bite at the apple, a little small bite at the apple right now until we get the extension approved or get that finalized.
I did talk with Shem today and he expects to have the survey work completed and then either by the middle of this week or the end of the week. And if so, we should have that deed then recorded early part of next week. So that's the time. That's the last thing we need to do for being the right of way.
Thank you. No questions, we'll move on. Any updates for the You Are Beautiful, the SOLA site?
We have received a redlined RDA redevelopment agreement. It is in the hands of Mr. Attorney Adam Collins right now in Indianapolis. He's reviewing it. I talked to Mr. Collins, I think last Thursday. We should have our version back to the developers this week. And then at that point in time, we'll probably all have to get on a phone call and have some negotiations about some of the terms in the redevelopment agreement. We have been working through all of our utility locates around the You Are Beautiful site, and Mr. Warner, Tim Warner, our city engineer, as well as our forester, has been involved in those conversations, as well as the other departments, utilities, sanitation, water, even our fiber locates for any mechanic. And we're talking right now about moving those and the engineering for the moving of those utilities in preparation of folding moving of those utilities into our project. And so we're kind of working through that process right now. I think we have a path forward, and then those things will be folded into our redevelopment agreement as well.
Thank you. All right, we're finished with the updates and approvals. Report by legal counsel. Mr. Cernak.
First, there was an executive session held prior to this meeting. No items were discussed except permitted by the Sunshine Law, and no decisions were made. Second thing, I sent you a contract yesterday for valuation services. This is for appraisals being done on in conjunction with the 5th and Pine Street project. As you know, a request for proposals was sent out, I want to say May 1st or thereabouts, and that's just kind of the initial invite, and basically a chance to evaluate that the people who do respond to that, the contractors or developers that do respond to that, have the financial wherewithal to pull a project together. The second part will actually be the actual proposal of the project itself. Part of the law requires that whenever there is a publicly owned land, and since the Redevelopment Commission owns this property, we need to do a public offering for that. Public offering has to establish a minimum bid of interest. The minimum bid is derived from the mean of 2 appraisals. So this is an appraisal. We've contacted, I know Scott has contacted one person. I contacted Valuation Services. And there's a little bit of an urgency on time here. Obviously, when we send out the actual request for proposal later on this summer, we want to include with that this public offering. And what we need to be careful of, the only thing we need to be careful of, is what will be the minimum offer. Although we don't have to stick with that, we don't have to stay with that. We just need to have a starting point. And it can come back with an appraised value of $50,000, and there's nothing says that we can't ask for a minimum bid of $1 million, something along those lines. But the law requires that we do this. So what I've submitted to you and would ask for approval tonight is the contract with Valuation Services in the amount of $4,800 for appraisals of the 40 individual parcels, although realistically it's within 3 big areas.
Might not add in there, I do not have the contract back from Troy Appraisers, but I think he's probably waiting on us to give like actual approval of me asking for appraisals, because I told him to wait, and it's probably my fault for not asking for that. But if I get that, I can contact him tomorrow. Could we include that into the?
We can.
To basically
So
just
really
move
what we're
forward.
looking at 2 things here: approval of appraisals for the property, which you have to do, and then the second thing, the specific valuation services for the $4,800.
And just so you guys know, we do have time to get these appraisals in. We have plenty of time with respect to the RFP that went out. We're not making final selections of developers until September. So just keep that in mind. We do have some time. I don't want to wait too long, but we do have time. We're not under the gun like we were with the train station.
So, Mr. Cernak, do you have a motion that you'd like one of my colleagues to make?
Just to approve the, motion to approve the contract for appraisal services for the 40 parcels on Pine Street, Spring Street, and Cedar Street in Michigan City in the amount of $4,800.
I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Just a quick question, if it's all right.
Yeah.
Do you know with the appraisal for request that we have with this valuation services, are they going to break out each parcel's value or just a total inclusion value?
I've asked them to do it for the 3 large parcels, not on all 40 individuals. That'll tell us nothing, but other than a base price. But I have asked them to look at it as 3 different sections because of the fact development. We don't want to limit ourselves to what the development proposals may be. So parcel A may have one thing, parcel B may have another, and we look at the totality of it.
Yeah, we talked, me and Alan talked ahead of time before we called, and we agreed that we would do them in a lump, 3 specific spaces, even though there's 40 total. And when I talked to Troy Appraisers, I asked him to do the same, that it would be a lump, but one block, if you will.
Makes sense. Thank you. With that, I'd like to go ahead and propose moving forward or motion to move forward with obtaining 2 appraisals and also motion to approve valuation services dollar amount not to exceed $4,800.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you so much. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Then the last final thing is just to update you further on the continuing litigation on the Trail Creek cleanup. Again, as just a quick summation, there was one last property owner that the former Aaroncraft Properties that we do have a default judgment on. We don't have an actual dollar amount. 3 months ago, I want to say the commission approved $1,500 for a file search from Ice Miller, since they represented an insurance company in another litigation down in LaPorte that did reveal an insurance company. We have now filed for what's called a proceeding supplemental in circuit court as part of this case, with the court date being set for August 5th. And as I said before, we do have a default judgment already in place, so now the question just comes down for a proceeding supplemental is what is their coverage, how much can they pay, and then we will fill in the blanks later. What we're looking for is somewhere around $1.5 million. Okay. So, and that if we get that one, if the insurance coverage does allow for the $1.5 million, that will mean the entire Trail Creek cleanup occurred without 1 penny of public money, but rather all money paid by the polluters of the parcels.
Oh, that's incredible.
And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda, any additional report by our director?
Yes, I actually have a couple of things. We covered the appraisals. We're good. Tomorrow we have, Alan mentioned we put out an RFP for on May 1st for the 5th and Pine lots. That was a really good process to go through. I think we're going to get some good responses. We sent it out to 165 different people, developers, financial institutions, real estate agents, you name it. Anyone that touches property and does things with property, we send it to them. We have a meeting tomorrow, a pre-development developer meeting. Basically with, I think there's 30, maybe more today signed up. It starts at 10 tomorrow. We will be talking to developers, answering any questions they may have about the RFP or about the process of the RFP. And then we will, hopefully, if it's not raining, visit the site. And we will talk about the site and how it connects to our downtown and the importance of the site, and kind of put it in perspective of and how it positions itself in our downtown. So I really hope it doesn't rain so we can do that, because I really enjoy talking about that piece of it. But it's going to be a really good good project, and like I said, we're already getting quite a few responses at this time. Let's see here. Criteria. So the other thing that is in your packet that was brought to me kind of last minute. Although Terry, unbeknownst to me, Terry's been working on this for quite a while. Terry Greetham and our events planning department has been working very, very closely with this one. We got it the day that I put out the agenda, so I was hoping to get it in there. But I wanted to ask that the Redevelopment Commission if you would entertain this, because there's going to be a lot of planning involved in this. But Terry Greetham is basically this company, Criterion Productions, is wanting to come to Michigan City, and they want to do and it's going to be a partnership with Michigan City. This is something Terry is going to enter into a partnership with them. So there will be an MOU, formal MOU. They would like to ask to use our plaza area, our downtown 7th and Franklin area, to do a fully basically an event that they're putting together, and Terry doesn't really have to do a lot other than get our approvals and just make sure that all the pieces are together. But it's called Michigan City's Last Splash, an end of summer party in the city. There will only be one road closure with us, and it will not close our Franklin Street corridor. It will only close 7th Street so they can have a little bit more space. It is a family-friendly event. And this company, as you can see in this packet, has put together a really good packet. I mean, it's probably one of the most thorough, thought out plans that we've seen. So what we're asking for right now is just permission for them to, Terry would like for right now just to get permission to use it from us. There's still other things that the group has to do. They have to go to the Board of Works to request the actual permission again. They have to get a C of I. Certificate of insurance, and they also have to ask to close down 7th Street as well. So our approval would at least allow them to start to implement the plan in here that they've laid out. If this works out well, Criterion does lots of other events, and it might be a good partnership with the city, and especially for the programming of our 7th Street area, which, as all you know, we are electrifying now. I spoke about earlier, and this might bring in maybe some potential partnerships with the city and use of that property, which is really what we want to happen down there. So, with that, I guess I would just ask that they're asking for the 28th. Would it be Saturday the 28th? I'm making sure.
Yeah, September 28th.
Okay, they got the
Saturday,
Yeah,
September
Saturday,
28th from 12 to 9.
Yeah, 12 to 9. And that's what they're asking for. It's a one-day event, and then they even have a cleanup plan in here, so we will not have the whole street shut down that day.
Yeah, I have to say their packet was very thorough, and
Harry was very impressed with their packet. In fact, he's basically thinking this might set the standard for what we accept down there and use this as a model. So.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So this is a opportunity to use the grassy lots at 7th between Franklin and Washington Street to produce a family-friendly festival taking place on Saturday, September 28th from 12 to 9, including a cleanup plan. I'd entertain a motion to move it to the next level.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request for use of the grassy lots and send them on to the Board of Works. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Excellent.
Thank you very much. Other than that, I do not have any other comments tonight. We took care of the appraisal, so we're good to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have public comments.
Hi, Tommy Kolavic, 1316 Ohio Street. I want to get back to the River liquor licenses. I'd like to have these restaurants and where they're going in. It's always nice to have good, nice places to go eat. But I'd like to, if they consider being open, having on Mondays. You drive down there now, every one of them is closed. It's kind of dead right now. And the other thing is, sure enough, they're gonna come back to the Board of Works and ask for sidewalk space for outdoor dining, like Farina's. We need to set up a fee schedule for that. We need to collect some money if they're gonna use our sidewalk, they should pay for it. It's just my personal feeling, we kind of give the store away for free on these sidewalk closures and street closures, just like this event. You're gonna have on the 7th and Franklin. They should pay some kind of a fee to use the 7th and Franklin. Like, we spent a lot of money tearing down the old Kresge's building and then all that. The other thing is, back to Town Center Drive, it needs to be striped. You go down to any of the major shopping centers in downstate and Carmel and Fishers, they got all, they're not, roads are not only paved, but they're striped. That's, we seem to pave the roads, we don't do the striping. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other members of the public here? No, but maybe online? Nope. Anyone else? Any commissioner comments? Anyone? Well, this was a really good meeting, and our next meeting will be June 10th, 2024, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
We have a motion. Any seconds?
Second.
Oh, thank you. I presume everyone's going to agree to that, so let's adjourn. Thank you. All in favor, stay here if you'd like, but we're all hungry.
Everyone.